Your emotions are not directives, they're data. That might sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful truths you can internalize if you want to stay strong in any situation. Most people live as if their emotions are commands. They feel scared and assume that means stop. They feel uncertain and assume that means don't try. They feel angry and assume that means react now. But here's the truth. Emotions are not instructions. They are signals. Your body and your brain are designed to alert you, not to control you. And once you understand that, you reclaim your power. Let me break this down. Your brain's number one job is to keep you safe, not to make you happy, not to make you brave, not to make you successful, safe. And so when you encounter a challenge, when something unexpected happens, when you're on the edge of taking a risk, your brain will trigger an emotional response. That might be anxiety, fear, doubt, anger, and it feels real, right? It feels urgent. But that's the trick. The emotional response is there because your brain is trying to steer you away from discomfort, from uncertainty, from risk. But discomfort is where growth lives. Uncertainty is where progress happens, and risk is where breakthroughs are born. If you treat every emotion like a command, you'll never move forward. You'll stay stuck, constantly pulled around by feelings that are simply trying to alert you. That's it. That's all emotions are, alerts. They're the brain's way of saying, hey, something's happening here. But what you do with that alert is where strength comes in. Let's say you're about to have a hard conversation. Your heart's pounding, your stomach's tight, you're nervous. That's not a sign that you shouldn't speak up. That's a sign that it matters. That's your body getting you ready. Your brain is sending you signals. Hey, this might go wrong. Be careful. But here's the deal. You're still in control. You can feel nervous and still speak up. You can feel uncertain and still move forward. You can feel afraid and still show up. Strong people don't feel less. They interpret better. That's the key. Strength isn't about shutting off emotions. It's about translating them correctly. It's about recognizing, okay, I feel anxious. That's not a stop sign. That's just my brain preparing me for something important. You pause. You breathe. You listen to the signal, but you don't follow it blindly. Think about a firefighter walking into a burning building. You think they don't feel fear? Of course they do. But they've trained their brains to respond instead of react. To use the data, not be controlled by it. You can do the same thing. This is how you build emotional resilience. You start by separating the feeling from the action. You notice the emotion. You label it. I feel angry, I feel overwhelmed, I feel scared. Then you ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? And finally, is this helping me or holding me back? That's where the shift happens. That's where strength lives. Let's take another example. Maybe you're chasing a dream, starting a business, going back to school, ending a relationship that's no longer healthy. And suddenly doubt creeps in. That little voice says, what if this doesn't work? That's not a prophecy. That's a protective mechanism. That's your brain trying to keep you from failing. But here's the hard truth. Playing it safe is also failing. Sitting still when you know you're meant for more, that's a silent form of self-betrayal. And you feel it. You know it. You know. That's why it hurts so much. So what do? You feel the fear, you feel the doubt, and you move anyway. Because now you know those emotions are just data. They don't get to drive the car. They're passengers. You listen. You acknowledge. But you keep your hands on the wheel. The more you practice this, the stronger you get. You stop being someone who reacts, and you become someone who chooses. And that shift changes everything. People who don't let the noise around them dictate their actions. What you're seeing in them is a mastery of the pause. And that's available to you. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed. Start small. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, pause. The next time you're about to respond to a frustrating email, pause. The next time you feel the urge to quit, to shout, to react, pause. One deep breath. One moment of stillness. That's all it takes to interrupt the pattern and rewire your response. The pause gives you control when everything feels out of control. It creates a pocket of strength where panic wants to live. And in that space, you don't just survive the hard moment, you lead it. You take charge, you rise above the chaos. That's what real strength looks like. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. And presence starts with a pause. That's where your power is. That's where your strength begins. Confidence is not something you start with. It's not a feeling that magically appears before you take action. It's not some switch you flip when you're finally ready. Confidence is the result of doing the hard thing. It's what you earn by showing up, not what you need in order to start. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that keeps people stuck. They think they need to feel confident before they speak up, before they take the leap, before they change their lives. And because they don't feel confident, they wait, they stall, they sit in fear. But confidence doesn't come from waiting. It comes from movement. You don't build strength by thinking about lifting weights. You build it by lifting, by straining, by pushing through the discomfort. Confidence works the same way. You get stronger by doing the things that scare you, even when your hands are shaking, even when your voice trembles. Every time you act despite the fear, despite the doubt, despite the uncertainty, you teach yourself something critical that you can handle it. And that belief, built one action at a time, is confidence. Most people are waiting for permission. They're waiting for a sign. They're waiting to feel ready. But here's the truth. You're never going to feel ready. Not for the things that truly matter. Not for the hard conversations, the bold moves, the scary dreams. If it matters, you will feel nervous. You will feel exposed. That's normal. That's human. But you can feel afraid and still move forward. That's courage. And courage is what builds confidence. It's easy to assume that confident people are just born that way. But that's not how it works. Confident people are not fearless. They just don't let fear make decisions for them. They act in spite of it. They've practiced putting themselves in uncomfortable situations. They've built a habit of showing up. And over time, they've collected enough evidence that says, I can do hard things. That's what real confidence is. Self-trust. You gain self-trust through action, through following through proving to yourself, in small ways every day, that you don't need to have it all figured out in order to begin. Think about the first time you tried something new, driving a car, giving a presentation, starting a job. You probably weren't confident. You were clumsy. You were uncertain. You made mistakes, but you showed up. And over time, with repetition and effort, you improved. You got better. You became confident not by waiting to feel it, but by doing it anyway. Confidence is like a bank account. Every time you take action, even a tiny one, you make a deposit. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you push through fear, every time you do the thing you were scared to do, deposit. And when you face a challenge, when life gets hard, you get to draw from that account. But if you've been avoiding, hesitating, doubting yourself for too long, that account is empty. The only way to fill it is to take action. It doesn't have to be huge. Confidence grows from small steps. Speak up in the meeting. Go to the gym even when you don't feel like it. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Hit publish. Apply for the job. Say no. Say yes. Each of those moments matters more than you think because they stack. They build momentum. And that momentum becomes belief. You start to realize, I didn't think I could do that, but I did. That realization is everything. So stop waiting to feel confident. That feeling you're craving, it's on the other side of action. The more you act, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you believe. And the more you believe, the less fear controls you. But none of that starts until you move. You don't need to be fearless. You don't need to be perfect. You don't even need to feel ready. You just need to go. Start scared. Start small. Start messy. But start. Because confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build, one brave decision at a time. Strength is not something you're born with. It's something you build, and the truth is, it doesn't happen in dramatic, heroic moments. It happens in the small, often invisible choices you make every single day, the micro decisions, the ones that seem insignificant but shape who you are over time. Most people are waiting for a big moment to prove their strength, waiting to rise to the occasion when life throws a major challenge at them. But real strength isn't built in those big moments. It's revealed in them. It's built in the thousands of tiny decisions you make when no one's watching. You choose strength when you get out of bed on the days when everything in you says stay down. You choose strength when you resist the urge to snap back during an argument and instead take a breath. You choose strength when you show up to work after a sleepless night, when you go to the gym after a long day, when you sit down to study even though you're tired, when you make your bed, drink water, or step outside for 5 minutes of sunlight. These aren't massive accomplishments, but they are acts of discipline. They are decisions rooted in resilience. And those small actions, repeated over time, become the foundation of your strength. You see, most people underestimate how much power they actually have in the small moments. They think it's just one day I skipped my routine. It's just one argument I exploded in. It's just one time I quit early. But those micro decisions compound. What you do once in a while shapes your mood, but what you do consistently shapes your identity. The choices you make every single day are like votes for the kind of person you are becoming. And if you keep choosing the hard thing, the right thing, the intentional thing, you become strong, not by accident, but by design. Let's talk about habits. Habits are a form of decision-making automation. Your brain loves habits because they save energy. But that also means your brain will default to the easiest, most familiar path, unless you consciously choose something better. And it starts with awareness. Every time you choose to stay consistent with your habits, especially when it's inconvenient, you're training your brain to work for you instead of against you. You're creating a feedback loop that reinforces strength. The habit doesn't just become easier over time, it becomes part of who you are. There's also something powerful about keeping promises to yourself, even the small ones. When you say, I'm going to take a walk today, and then you do it, you're not just moving your body, you're proving to yourself that your word means something, that you can be counted on, that you follow through. Every broken promise to yourself chips away at your self-trust. Every kept promise builds it back, and self-trust is the root of inner strength. In those quiet, often overlooked moments, you are either building strength or reinforcing weakness. That's the truth. When you choose to push through discomfort instead of escape it, when you choose to stay grounded instead of react, when you choose to keep going instead of giving up, you're reinforcing a version of you that can handle hard things. And that's what strength really is. The belief that no matter what happens, you can handle it. There's a reason professional athletes practice the basics every day. There's a reason top performers swear by morning routines, cold showers, and journaling. It's not because those things are magical. It's because those small, consistent actions keep their minds and bodies aligned with strength. You don't need to run a marathon or win an award to feel powerful. You just need to make one small decision today that aligns with the person you want to become, and then do it again tomorrow. Strength doesn't shout. It whispers in your daily actions. It's in the choices you make today. This hour, this minute. It's in the decision to keep going, to try again, to show up when it's easier not to. That's where your strength is, and it's already inside you. Every small intentional action you take is proof. Keep showing up. Keep choosing. Showing. That's how strong is built. You cannot control everything that happens in your life, but you can control how you interpret it. And that distinction is everything. Life is going to hit you. That's a guarantee. You're going to face loss, disappointment, rejection, failure, betrayal, and setbacks. Some of it will come out of nowhere. Some of it will break your heart. But what happens to you is only part of the story. The rest is what you do with it. And that part, that's where your power lives. See, the meaning you attach to an experience is what gives it weight. It's what defines whether something breaks you or builds you. You can look at a failure and say, I'm not good enough, or you can say, I learned something that's going to make me better next time. You can go through a breakup and think, I'll never be loved again, or you can choose to believe this hurt, but it's making space for something healthier. The experience is the same. The story you tell about it is different. And the story is what shapes your mindset, your behavior, and ultimately your future. Most people don't realize they have the ability to reframe their experiences. They get stuck in the first interpretation that shows up, the negative one, the one that says, this is the end. I failed. I'm not enough. Duh. But that story isn't truth. It's just a version of the truth. You can write a better one. You can step back, take a breath, and ask, what else could this mean? What's the opportunity here? What's the lesson I can carry forward? Your brain is constantly searching for patterns, trying to make sense of your life, and the meaning you assign to events becomes part of that pattern. If you keep interpreting every challenge as proof that you're a failure, your brain will start filtering the world through that lens. You'll see setbacks everywhere. You'll feel helpless. But if you train your mind to see meaning through growth, through strength, through purpose, you rewire the way you experience adversity. You become someone who finds wisdom in pain, not just suffering. Someone who asks, how can I grow through this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Because it turns pain into power. It turns setbacks into setups. It turns life from something that happens to you into something you actively shape, no matter the circumstances. Let's say you lose your job. That's a hard blow, and the initial story your mind might jump to is, I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I'll never recover. But pause. That means you're resilient. That means you've got grit. That means there's something in you that refuses to quit, no matter how hard it gets. It's easy to compare yourself to others, to think you're behind, to believe someone else is stronger, more capable, more confident. But you don't know their story. You don't know what they've been through, and they don't know what you've carried. The only comparison that matters is between who you are today and who you used to be. And if you're even 1 inch stronger, more patient, more aware, more grounded, that's growth. That's progress. And that's worth celebrating. You've got to start honoring your own resilience. You've got to stop acting like surviving isn't a big deal. It is. Picking yourself up after a hard season is no small feat. Learning to trust again after betrayal takes courage. Believing in your worth after failure takes heart. So many people walk through life pretending to be strong on the outside while crumbling inside. But you've done the internal work. You've felt it, faced it, and kept going. That's real strength. That's what makes you unstoppable. So when life gets tough again, and it will, don't forget who you are. Don't forget what you've already survived. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. You've got tools now. You've got wisdom. You've got scars that tell a story of survival, not defeat. Use them. Lean on them. Let them remind you that you've done hard things before and you'll do them again. There's nothing weak about struggle. There's nothing shameful about pain. What matters is that you don't let it define you. You let it refine you. You let it build something in you that's unshakable. And when you walk forward, you walk not as someone who's broken, but as someone who's been battle-tested, someone who's weathered storms and still stands tall. You are not weak because you struggled. You are powerful because of what you've walked through. Own that. Stand. Let your past be the proof that your future is something you can handle, no matter what comes next. When everything feels like it's falling apart, when the pressure is mounting, when you're overwhelmed, exhausted, and unsure of what comes next, there's one thing you need to remember. You don't have to figure everything out all at once. In fact, the single most powerful move you can make in a chaotic, uncertain moment is to focus on the next small step in front of you. Not the whole mountain, not the whole future, just one step. Oh, most people get paralyzed by the size of their problem. They look at the entire situation, every potential outcome, every possible failure, every what-if scenario, and it's just too much. So they freeze, they retreat, they procrastinate or spiral into anxiety, and it makes sense. When you stare at the big picture for too long, it's easy to feel like it's impossible. But here's the truth. You don't climb a mountain by leaping to the top. You do it one deliberate, sometimes shaky, sometimes slow step at a time. You don't need all the answers right now. You just need a direction. You need clarity on what the next right thing is. Not forever, just for today. Maybe it's sending that email, making that call, getting out of bed, drinking water, cleaning one room, having one hard conversation, taking one walk. Each of those steps might feel small, even pointless. But those small intentional actions have power. Because they create movement, and movement breaks stagnation. It shifts your energy. It brings back momentum, and with momentum comes confidence. Every single person who's ever achieved anything meaningful, every leader, every success story, every comeback, didn't do it all at once. They did it in pieces. They put one foot in front of the other even when they didn't know exactly where the path would lead. They trusted that if they just kept moving, clarity would come, strength would grow, solutions would appear. And they were right, because life meets you at the level of your action, not your anxiety. The next step might not look glamorous. It might not be the one you wanted. It might be boring, frustrating, or uncomfortable, but it's the one that will move you forward, even if it's just by an inch. And an inch in the right direction still counts. That inch is what separates people who eventually rise from those who stay stuck. This mindset matters most when you're in survival mode, when you're tired, heartbroken, discouraged, or burned out. When your capacity is low, your world feels heavy, and hope feels far away. In those moments, you need to shrink the problem and simplify the solution. You need to stop trying to carry the whole weight of your life in one go. Just ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do right now to take care of myself, to move towards stability, to keep going? And when you do that, when you take that small action, you are proving to yourself that you're not helpless, that you're not stuck, that you still have control over something. That's how you take your power back. That's how you shift from survival to strength. Not by fixing it all, but by refusing to give up in the middle of it. One of the greatest forms of resilience is knowing how to scale your response to your energy. Some days you'll be able to handle big things. Other days your win is just showing up. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. It's knowing that healing, progress, and growth don't happen in straight lines or in perfect timing. They happen in steps, some forward, some backward, some sideways. But as long as you keep stepping, you keep evolving. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not lost. You're just in a process. And processes take time, they take patience, they take grace. So let yourself breathe. Let yourself simplify, let yourself stop obsessing over the entire path and just ask, what can I do right now? That one question can change everything. Because the answer grounds you, it centers you in action. It reminds you that your next step is always within reach, even when the finish line isn't. And that's the key to staying strong through anything. Not doing it all at once, but doing one thing at a time with courage and consistency. So when life feels like too much, zoom in. Shrink the chaos, ignore the mountain, and just take the next step. That's how you rise. That's how you endure. That's how you endure. That's how you win.